Good morning, traders. This is Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, and this is going to be a review of the gaming sector. I was flipping through charts over the weekend, and this group jumped out at me. And just as a point of reference, for every group of stocks, there is an industry group designation. In my chart lists, at the top of every list is a chart of the industry group. And how that can help you is in a number of ways. The first being, you can get a real good read on the whole group simply by looking at the industry group chart. If the industry group chart looks productive, then you can dig deeper, into the subcomponents, the stocks within that group. If it looks, not very interesting, you save a lot of time because you don't want to dig through 50 charts in a group that's not doing anything. So it saves you a lot of time. You can get that quick snapshot of the industry group. Another thing you can do is create some industry group lists that you can drop into a relative rotation graph. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to StockTwits in their chart school section. They have a nice write-up on relative rotation, but then you can see which groups are outperforming. And the general rule of thumb is you want to get the best stocks in the best groups. There's always going to be one or two charts within a group that outperform, but in general, you want to stick with the outperformers in the outperforming group. So you want to buy strength rather than trying to pick, the worst one in the group and hoping it catches up. So that's just a thumbnail on some strategies you can employ when you're looking for potential trades. This group stood out to me because to my eye, I saw this massive head and shoulders topping structure. So I penciled that in. I drew a neckline on it over the weekend with a high to low, from the high to the neckline of 28%. From TA 101, a breakdown from this structure projects a 28% drop based on the height of the head of the structure. So I had alarmed that in my system, and yesterday I got a trigger on that, which got me digging into the sector, which had basically a horrible day. So from this point on, I've got a heads up that this group may be in trouble. So I went ahead and started looking at some charts, and I'll share those with you. This is BJK, which is the gaming sector ETF. You can see that it follows the same head and shoulder structure. It has started to break down. I really think the key level in this chart is 3250. The one thing I don't like about this particular ETF is it has really, really low volume. It does have an option chain, but it's not like loaded to the gills liquid. So I have traded it in the past. I'm not necessarily steering you against it, but it's not the best in the whole wide world, so just keep that in mind. I set an alarm at 3250. You could certainly, get short now with, a stop just above the neckline. If you were going to say, I don't want to I don't want to hunt for individual names. I just want to trade the basket. That's a perfectly fine way to go. Anyways, let's run down a list of a few specific names, and you'll see what I mean in the sector. This is Churchill Downs. It was down about 4 or 5% yesterday. You could say this is a bull flag from this move. Given that the industry group is so poor, I would want to stay away from that on the long side until something changed. For me, price is kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I wouldn't want to assume any kind of position now. What I've done is I've alarmed 139 on the high side, and I've alarmed 117.50 on the low side. Just as a heads up, if 117.50 breaks, I think it would be a good short opportunity. If the whole industry turns around and it breaks out at 138, 139, you could see a run back up here to 165. So right now, neutral on the stock. I've alarmed high and low of the range for a heads up down the road for a potential trading op. Really, the best chart in the group is DraftKings. And if you think about it, it's all virtual. It's all online gambling. You don't have to go to a casino in Vegas or in Macau to bet. It was recently, yesterday, knocked down on the news that Major League Baseball has already started canceling games. Now this morning, the NFL has canceled the preseason. So this may, have some selling pressure. Not interested in shorting it. Way too strong. I'm looking to buy. I've set an alarm down here at 28 for a potential dip buy against the recent swing low. And I've also set an alarm at 38 to take it long if it breaks above this near-term resistance. I think if it breaks above 38, you get a pretty quick run up to 44. If it were able to take out these recent highs, you got blue sky overhead, and I would definitely want to be long. So DraftKings to me is the best in the group, and really trades totally different than the traditional gaming stocks, casinos with physical locations. Here's IGT, which is they make the slot machines and the different video games. Massive triangle here. What I've done is alarm 9.5, and I've alarmed 11 for potential breakout. You can't do anything here while it's inside the triangle. Just wait for price to lead the way, and if there's a breakdown, I think you could first see 8 and then potentially like 625 if things really fall apart. You've got the 50 EMA right here at around 9.5. If it loses the 50 EMA, I think it's gone. Anytime that I'm looking at a chart, even though my bias may be to the downside, I always take the extra 15 seconds and alarm the upside in case things turn around. So I've alarmed 11 for potential topside breakout. Las Vegas Sands, and this is more typical of the structure that you'll see on the companies that have physical buildings, casinos. Las Vegas Sands has exposure in Las Vegas, in Singapore, and in Macau. And if you're following the COVID news, just like here, the COVID is ramping up again, putting pressure on the stock. Now, these guys already reported, they missed by a mile. They reported up in this area, kind of lost track of it. It has since sold down to key support right here at 43. So, given that earnings has already reported, kind of like the bugaboo is out of the way. So if this were to break down before 40, like under 43, I'd be inclined to try a short, knowing that earnings is already in the rearview mirror and there's nothing ahead. It may sell down as other casino operators report, which I'm sure are going to be disasters. So this is one I've really got my eye on. But support is support until it's broken, so there's always the potential for a bounce here. So keep your eye on it. Here's MGM. It had a triangle forming. It's since broken below and sitting on key support here at 15. It does have earnings at the end of this week. I think it's July 30th. I'm going to steer clear of it until that report. But I think if 15 breaks convincingly, I think you're going to see a move down here to 12. And if things really fall apart, it could go all the way down here to 10. I think the March low is probably a stretch, but a move from 15 to 12 or 10 are really big percentage moves. So I would keep an eye on that one coming out of earnings. MLCO, big exposure in Hong Kong and Macau, same type of structure. Coming down here to test this 1475 level. I would put an alarm there. It too has earnings around the corner. That's a level that's on my radar for a potential break below. PENN Gaming is one of these stocks that has Barstool Sports involved in it and has some exposure to online betting. This looks a lot like the Churchill Downs chart, where it's in a range here, kind of in no man's land. I don't think there's any place to take an immediate trade. If you were really bold, you could buy if it breaks out above this little minor trend line. But for me, I've alarmed 39 and 28 as more or less a bracket trade. If it breaks out of the all-time high, I want to take it long. If it comes down here to 28, I'd be inclined to be a dip buyer at the low end of the range. If it breaks below, I'll be stopped out. But I think given all these tags of support, if it came down, I'd be inclined to be a buyer there and hopefully get a run back up to 38 at the top of the box with my stop just below. So that's an interesting setup. I like the fact that they have some online exposure, and I think that bodes well for them going down the road. Red Rock Resorts, another big triangle. I think the key level here is 975, 950. I have that alarmed. I also alarmed 1250 for a breakout. Not my favorite one of the group, but setting alarms just the same. WYNN looks just like Las Vegas Sands. Had a pop back when oh my God, we got to get into value, these are too cheap, hit the resistance line. That would have been a great short entry. Wasn't on my radar screen at all, but anytime you move into a zone of resistance in a downtrend, it's always an objective place to try a short with a stop just above. In this case, it got rejected hard. Comes down here to the 70 level, which has been key support. You notice this large volume over price bar, showing that a lot of trades have happened there. On any break below, you can see it moves into a thin zone of volume support. I think it could go fast. Earnings are right around the corner, so I'm not going to get involved ahead of that. But if on earnings it breaks below, I would be a motivated seller on this one with a stop just above 70. I think it could go all the way down here to 50. There's really not a lot of technical support in between 70 and 50. But if COVID continues to rage, if traffic to Las Vegas and Macau drop, I mean, I can see it going down there. So keep 70 on the radar for WYNN. Set yourself an alarm. Let earnings clear. And be ready. And as far as this group goes, I mean, pick one or two. I mean, I think you'll see the whole group, aside from DraftKings and PENN Gaming, trade together. I mean, MGM and MLCO and Las Vegas Sands and WYNN, they're all going to trade together. So you don't need to go out and, take positions in all of them. If you wanted to, you could, take whatever amount of monies that you were, going to allocate to a short position and break them up. Pick 2 or 3 stocks and divide it, a little position each one of them. But I find that approach to just be hard from a management standpoint. Now you got 3 to look at along with all your other positions. I just picked the one that looks the most promising. I think there's a lot more downside in WYNN than there is, in some of the other stocks. But see which ones break and which ones don't. Have all your alarms set so you don't miss the move. I think the group is poised to go lower. But we'll wait and see. A lot of earnings around the corner. COVID headlines can make this thing go higher if it all of a sudden subsides. So anyhow, I just thought the sector was interesting. If you've got a lot of longs, it might be an interesting place to put a short bet and kind of hedge some of your longs. But that's up to you. Anyhow, I hope you found the presentation helpful. This has been Chris Buss from Traders Profit Compass. If you found the information helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. There's a link to the blog over in the show notes, along with a place to subscribe to all my content. I publish 6 times a week. You'll get all that information for free delivered to your inbox. Thanks for watching, and have a good trading day.